Well, fellas, the market is very interesting. There are so many things going on. There are some cards exploding, some cards dumping. New sets are coming out, old sets are getting reprinted. All this different stuff is happening. But you know what's just quietly in the corner, just chilling? If you're owning this box, you're just sitting back, relaxing. You're just having a good day. And that set is Evolving Skies. So Evolving Skies, you look at it and you go, you know what, Sam? What are you even yapping on about? Nothing has happened with Evolving Skies. That was your first mistake right there, assuming nothing is happening with Evolving Skies. There are some cards absolutely doing phenomenal. There are some cards blowing up in price, some behaviors we haven't seen in years. There are so many things we need to talk about with Evolving Skies and how it's putting its foot in the door as becoming such an iconic set. 2.4k for a booster box feels underpriced. I have a sealed booster box case and I feel underinvested, man. I need some more Evolving Skies because this set is so good. So we're going to talk about this video. We're going to break it down in 4 segments. We're going to be talking about the cards that are exploding. Number 2, why there'll never be another Moonbreon in the future. Number 3, why this is so significant. And number 4, the behaviors of the cards going up. There's a lot of stuff to talk about in this video. I don't want to waste your time. Sit down, buckle up, let's begin. Alright, you know, like I said earlier in the video, you may look at the Moonbreon and go, what's a big deal, Sam? The Moonbreon hasn't gone up. The box hasn't gone up. Clearly nothing is happening with Evolving Skies. And honestly, I don't blame you for thinking that, but it gets much deeper than this. So first of all, let's talk about the cards that are blowing up. So we have the Noivern V absolutely exploding. In about the last 30 to 60 days, this card has doubled in price. Then you have cards like the Rayquaza Rainbow, pretty much the same thing in the last 30 to 60 days. That's doubled in price. Umbreon V Full Art has doubled in price. The Rayquaza V Full Art has doubled in price. And there's a lot of other cards like the Evolution V Maxes are like $12-ish each, which is pretty insane. And you have a lot of cards that should be irrelevant and they should be $20 cards or $10 cards, but they're not. They're like $70 cards, including the Rayquaza Rainbow card, which is insane. When was the last time we saw a Rainbow card blow up in price? Rainbow cards have been in the slums for, I want to say, 5 years now. Rainbow cards have not moved up ever since alt arts came out and people realized how cool alt arts are. They've just lost all their bling they had, right? Like maybe had 1 or 2, like the Charizard from Burning Shadows. I suppose that's valid. But when it comes to Sword and Shield, they've all been dead in the water and they've just been doing really bad. However, Evolving Skies is a different beast. So these cards are doing absolutely phenomenal. Now, I will get to those later in the video. I have a very long discussion to explain on why it's so significant. It's not just a couple cards going up. It's much deeper than that. But we're going to quickly talk about Chapter 2, which is there is no new Moonbreon. This is something I need to talk about in a video. So how I can gauge people's interests, what people believe, different terminology that people use is I check my comment section, DMs, and forums online. Those are the 3 ways that I can gauge how people are treating certain things, what people think about certain things, the words people are using. Something that gets thrown around a lot is that, is this going to be the next Evolving Skies? Is this going to be the next Moonbreon? Then people say, this card is going to be the next Moonbreon. This set will be the next Evolving Skies. And I'm here to crush all those dreams and basically give you a harsh reality check. There will never be another Moonbreon. Now, what do I mean by that? Am I just being fear-mongering? No. Basically, what does a next Moonbreon actually mean? Well, when something becomes so iconic, people regard it as the peak of something. People regard it as so good. If we can just get something of a similar quality, then life will be perfect, right? But this is the idea that gets shattered very quickly. The problem is that when something gets iconic, it does not have to be the best at something in order to remain iconic. It will be iconic and it will stay iconic forever purely because in the early stages of said item, because the first to do it and being a hit generally is regarded as the most iconic. So what do I mean by this? Well, let's look at Marvel. What would you say is the most iconic Marvel movie? Most of us can agree it is Iron Man 1. Now, Iron Man 1 was the first MCU movie to come out. So it was a massive hit, people love it, and most of us can regard that as the most iconic Marvel movie. What about Star Wars? What do you regard as the most iconic Star Wars movie? It's Star Wars Episode 1. What about certain video game lineups? What about Pokemon? People regard base set as the most iconic set. But isn't almost every single set realistically better than base set? Like, I would argue Destiny Royale is better than base set. I would argue 151 is better than base set. The opening experience is better. The art is better, but here's the thing. You may look at that and go like, oh man, this guy, he clearly doesn't know the golden ages of Pokemon. This guy's looking at modern? Nah, it's time to unsubscribe. Alright, fair enough. I do think that 151 is better, but let's look at all the stuff. Let's look at Team Rocket, let's look at Deoxys, let's look at Holland Phantoms, let's look at these other sets where it's vintage, it's made by Wizards of the Coast, Skyridge, it's made by Wizards of the Coast. We can all agree Skyridge is better than base set. Surely all of us can agree on that, right? But it doesn't matter, because when something becomes iconic, it becomes immune. Now, in my opinion, I believe that Infinity War is the best Marvel movie. A lot of people agree with that opinion, but most of us can agree that Iron Man 1 is the most iconic Marvel movie, and it represents Marvel, in my opinion. If I say the word Star Wars, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Luke on Tatooine looking at the suns, Darth Vader walking into the ship on the first scene. You think about the most iconic. Some people can agree that Revenge of the Sith is better. Some people can say that episode 7 to 9 is better, which there's nothing bad with being wrong, okay? But the thing is, everybody can have their opinion on all these things, but something we can all agree on is the most iconic is the original. So when we translate this to all arts, it is Evolving Skies. Now, technically it wasn't the first, it was Battle Styles, but most of the time, yes, it may not be the first, but if it's just oldish but best, it generally marks its place as the most iconic, if that makes sense. Let me just quickly use Bitcoin as an example. There have been other attempts at making digital cash online, okay? Bitcoin was not the first to do it. It was just the best to do it at the time. And once it became so used, then it now has put its foot in the door, right? Like Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, Satoshi's Vision, all of these other coins, they rival Bitcoin, but they're never going to have anything on it because Bitcoin is being used and it's put its foot in the door, and in a sense, it's iconic, right? So it's the same thing with Evolving Skies. Evolving Skies is at that level where it gets regarded as such peak that people use the word Evolving Skies to represent a success, a killer, an amazing set. And then same goes for Moonbryon. Moonbryon gets thrown around as, is this the next Moonbryon? Okay, well, what does that actually mean? If I say, is this the next Moonbryon, what does that actually mean? And I actually genuinely want people to answer that. If you use the terminology Moonbryon, I would like you to actually comment and just let me know you actually use that word for. Now, what I would assume most people use the word for is saying that something can become so good and iconic as Moonbryon. But I'm going to quickly crush some people's hopes and dreams, and I'm going to quickly say that you're never going to beat something once it's iconic. Once it's iconic, that's it. It's put its foot in the door. You can't undo that. You can't undo that. Once it's done, it's done. You just have to live with it. So when people say that the Sunbryon is going to be the next Moonbryon, when people say that the Mewtwo is going to be the next Moonbryon, or what I've seen recently is the Charizard from Phantasmal Flames. Now, I just want to quickly say, guys, can we please come up with a nickname for it? We've got Bubble Mew, we've got Sunbryon, Sunzard. We need to think of a nickname for the Charizard. Now, I did think of a bit of a nickname. I know it's an absolute banger, but I thought of Sam. Now, the reason why I thought of this nickname is, you guys know how a lot of the time restaurants will name the restaurant after the person who thought of the name. So like Ben & Jerry's, it's Ben & Jerry's. Yeah, I'm thinking because I thought of the name, we can just name it after me. So let's just call it Sam. Thanks, guys. So Sam will not be the next Moonbryon because the Moonbryon is so iconic that it's not losing that status, right? Once it's iconic, it's pretty much done. If you can't beat him, you might as well join them. And I think that's what we're seeing with Evolving Skies, right? So many people are trying to find the next Evolving Skies when the next Evolving Skies was hiding in plain sight. And you know what that set is? Evolving Skies. When you have a set that is 4 years old and people are using the terminology, naming the set as representing wealth or a good set or an iconic set, generally that is a really good buy signal. Generally, when people are looking for the next Evolving Skies, provided it's not just like a $100,000 booster box, I personally see a buying opportunity. I think that's a really, really green flag. When you see people desiring it so much that they go ahead and use it as this terminology, I think that's an immediate buy right there. You don't look at the next Evolving Skies, you look at the current Evolving Skies. That's what I think is the best bet. And I'll tell you why. So with Moonbryon, why do people regard Moonbryon as this like expensive card, right? Like why can't they say Sunbryon? Why can't they say Bubble Mew, right? So generally what happens is the most iconic of something almost owns that territory, right? So let's say base set. Base set owns vintage. Charizard owns vintage. Any Charizard in a set immediately is the top chase in vintage sets. And also base set may not be the best, but it's the most iconic. So it naturally does the best. So when we have Phantasmal Flames or when we have Black Ball White Flare, no one is saying this is going to be the next base set because it doesn't even make any sense. You need to address the proper set, right? Let's just say tag teams, right? If they ever remake tag teams, just like they've remaked Megas, which honestly they probably will eventually, but if they ever remake tag teams, people are going to throw the word team up. People are going to throw the word Lovebirds. They're going to say, can this be the next Lovebirds? Can this be the next team up, right? But why are they not saying, can this be the next Legendary Treasures? Can this be the next Dragons Exalted? Can this be the next Deoxys, right? Why do people not say that, and why do people instead say Evolving Skies? The reason is because Evolving Skies has its foot in the door as the most iconic alt art set. Now here's the thing, the alt art type of card is the most successful artwork Pokemon have done. You've got X and Y, you've got Megas, and then you've got full arts in Black and White, and then you've got tag teams in Sun and Moon. The most successful is alt arts. It goes all the way from Sword and Shield, and we still see them in new sets to this day. They haven't stopped making alt arts. In fact, it's been so successful that with Scarlet and Violet, they made another rarity, which was illustration rares, which is just more common alt arts. That's a pretty big deal. You can see the magnitude to alt arts, and then you look at Evolving Skies, and that's why people address it as Evolving Skies. They don't address it as Team Up, they don't address it as Base Set, because it's not fitting. Like if I say, is Phantasmal Flames going to be the next Deoxys, you'll look at me and you go, look, what? What are you even saying? What are you yapping on about? But then if I say, is Phantasmal Flames going to be the next Evolving Skies, then you're like, oh, but yeah, well, okay, well now I know what you're talking about, right? So Evolving Skies is not just the best set of Sword and Shield. It owns and is the most iconic set of alt arts, aka the most successful type of Pokemon cards that Pokemon have made. Now I just want to say, if you're enjoying this video and if you want to support me, if you're shopping on eBay, please use my affiliate link. All you need to do is just click the link in the description or the pinned comment. And when you shop on eBay within the first 24 hours of clicking the link, I get a small kickback. It helps support the channel. A lot of people message me saying I got this off eBay. What do you think? Do you think this boost box is going to do well? Do you think this is going to do well? And I'm like, it will do well, but did you use my link? And a lot of people forget to use my link. So if you're shopping on eBay, make sure to use my link. Don't forget. But yeah, thank you for everybody who does. I really appreciate it. But let's continue with the video. So I hope that makes sense. That's chapter 2 done. There is never ever going to be another Moonbryon because Moonbryon is the most iconic. Can I just say, I've heard the next Evolving Skies and I've heard the next Moonbryon every single time its new set comes out. It realistically started, honestly, I want to say around the Paldea to Temporal Forces range, around that range, because that's generally where you had a new era, you had new sets coming out every 3 months or whatever, and then people would question which one's going to be the next Evolving Skies. They were acting like it's a mystery, Temporal Forces might magically become the next Evolving Skies in 10 years time. But the thing is, that terminology really got used when new sets would come out. It would be said, will this be the new Evolving Skies? Then when you had Surging Sparks, this is a bit of a history lesson, then when you had Surging Sparks, everybody immediately said, that's it, the Pikachu is the next Moonbryon. That's what people said. They said the Pikachu is the next Moonbryon. That was thrown around so much. Then you had Prismatic Evolutions. People said, all right, well, this Sunbryon is the next Moonbryon, which is so fitting that you have such an influential card that people switch from Moon to Sun and then just go Sunbryon. That is pretty crazy. But anyways, then you had the Sunbryon and people said this is going to be the next Moonbryon. Nope, no one agrees with that. That is not the case. That is not true at all. It's the only relativity together is it's the same card. That's literally it. Then you get to Destined Rivals, and a lot of people are saying that depending on the quality of the Mewtwo and the artwork itself, that could be the next Moonbryon. Now, realistically, when it came out, not a lot of people threw out saying that it would be the next Moonbryon, so I will give it that. But a lot of people were expecting if it's a really, really good card, it could rival the Evolving Skies Moonbryon. Then we pretty much skipped Black Bolt, then we skipped Mega Evolutions, and now we get to Phantasmal Flames, and people are saying the same thing. This is going to be the next Moonbryon. This gets thrown around so much, but I'm sorry to crush people's hopes and dreams, but there will never be another Moonbryon. In order for something to reach the level of iconicness that the Moonbryon has, it needs to be the king of a new type of card, right? So tag teams, Lovebird has that. Vintage, base set, Charizard has that. X and Y, realistically, Phantom Forces and Flashfire. I would probably say more of Flashfire, to be honest, but let's just say Flashfire has that. Then we go to alt arts. Okay, well, Moonbryon has that. In order for you to have a card that has the same relevance and influence that Evolving Skies has, it can't just be a ripoff. It can't just be a set that's better. I would argue Infinity War is better than Iron Man 1. But no one is arguing that Infinity War is more iconic. Then converting this with Pokemon, yes, okay, you might have better sets like Destined Rivals, which in my opinion is not better, but it does rival it. And if you would say Destined Rivals is better than Evolving Skies, I would hear you out. I wouldn't just immediately shut you down. I would be like, you know what, that's actually valid. I can hear where you're coming from. Alright, so that's chapter 2 done. There will never be another Moonbreon. Chapter 3, why the cards going up matters so much. Well, that is a fantastic question. The reason why it matters so much is because when a set becomes so iconic, what generally happens is people will do anything they can to own the top chase. However, eventually a lot of people get priced out, which is a-okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But what happens is then people go, all right, well, if I can't own the best, what else can I buy? And then people will just keep going down until they can eventually afford something. Then we get to the Rainbow Rayquaza. The Rainbow Rayquaza is not just another card exploding, and I want to be clear, the Noivern doing really well, the Rainbow Rayquaza, the Rainbow Umbreon, they're not just cards doing well because the market's doing well. No, it's not. Look at cards. Everything is cooling off. Everything is going down, or at least not moving. These cards are doubling in price. So you can't just look at the chart and be like, oh yeah, it's up this year. Everything's up this year. No, you can't do that. You got to look at it and go, hold the phone. Why the hell is a rainbow card going up 100%? Meanwhile, everything is pulling back. Why is a full art of a Rayquaza doing so well when the alt art can't even move up? When new sets, the cards are crashing. There's so much fear in the market right now. People are questioning, like, what's going to happen in December? Is the market going to do really well? What's going to happen with Mega Dream? What's going to happen with Phantasmal Flames? So you can't just look at these and go, oh yeah, okay, whatever, they're going up. No, you need to look at it and go, hold up. People love Evolving Skies so much. They will do anything to own a piece of it, including own literal full arts. That's pretty influential. So we look at this and let's look at the magnitude of it, right? So when was the last time this happened? When was the last time a set was so iconic, expensive, and good that people went, you know what, I don't care, I just want to own any of it? Team Up. Team Up was the last time we saw that. So let me give you a little history lesson with Team Up. First of all, I really don't like talking about Team Up because I sold the Magikarp for about $300 as a PSA 10 a couple years ago. Yeah, whenever I go to card shows and I see people asking like $3K for the card, I just cry myself to sleep. That was a painful one. Oh, man, that was a hard one. Whew, man. I'll tell you what, that's kind of the thing about tag teams. Everyone has a story with tag teams. Like, if you've been in the hobby long enough, everybody has that story where they sold it before it, like, exploded in value. So, yeah, that kind of sucks. But anyways, you look at tag teams. Okay, cool. People love to tag team all arts. Now, specifically with the context of Team Up, people really, really love it. Okay, happy days. The cards do really well. But what happens is there gets to a point where it becomes so expensive, people become priced out. Evolving Skies is having the same fate right now. You'll notice that the Umbreon has hit a bit of a peak, right? So the Umbreon was about 1,300. Now it's about 2.2. Now here's the thing. It hasn't gone down because it has so much demand, but it also hasn't gone up because people are priced out. So it's in this weird stagnation phase. Meanwhile, you go down a bit and the all arts is in a pretty similar situation, but then you go down a little bit more and it's like, whoa, hang on, look at this lower tier of Evolving Skies. These cards are doing really well. Like, they're having a party down here. And the reason why is because people have become so priced out that they are buying these other cards to have some sort of position on Evolving Skies because people love it so much. So then that's where we get the Rainbow Rayquaza doing well. It's not a Rainbow Rare doing well. It's Evolving Skies doing well. Same with an Umbreon V Full Art. Same with an Umbreon, a Rainbow Umbreon. It's not that those cards specifically are doing so well. It's Evolving Skies has so much demand. People are buying anything they can. Now going back to Team Up, the Latias and Latias, Lovebirds. Cool, expensive card, yeah, whatever, we all know that. However, you then look and you go, hold up. A GX of the Lovebirds, it should be like a $1 card for the record or a $2 card like EXs and Vs. However, you look at it and you go, whoa, hold up. That's like a $50 card. Now, if you get a PSA 10, that's like $500. How in the world is a GX, the equivalent of a V, $500 as a PSA 10? How is a full art, the Gengar and Mimikyu full art, that's like a $1,100 card as a PSA 10? It's a full art. So then you look at Rayquaza V Full Art and you go, oh, okay, that's a $30 card. You know what? Yeah, that's going to be a $100 card eventually. It's going to be a $100 card. The Umbreon V Full Art. Have you ever thought that's going to be a $150 card eventually? So then you look at it and you go, you know what? Look at Team Up. Have you noticed that the Gengar and Mimikyu, the rainbow cards, are doing exceptional? Like, let's look at the Rainbow Lugia. Haven't checked the price. I'd be willing to bet it's not even 25 bucks. The reason why, I actually just checked and it's 30 bucks, so it's practically the same thing. Now, the reason why specifically these cards are doing well in Evolving Skies is because people just want to own Evolving Skies. And we're going to see the VMAXs, we're going to see the Vs start to get priced out, right? So like Latias and Latias, Full Art, right? Or Rainbow. So it's about $700 as a PSA 10. So why is a Rainbow card $700? And it's as simple as this. With Pokemon, you don't get priced out when a set gets expensive. You just simply buy the lesser quality items, right? So let's just say Evolving Skies. If you love Evolving Skies so much, which most of the industry does, you would go, oh my goodness, I love Evolving Skies so much. I'm going to buy the VMAX Art. Oh, well, I can't buy that. All right, well, I'm going to buy the V Art. And it's like, you're going to keep going down until eventually you can afford something. And that's why we're seeing basic VMAXs be like $12 or $13. That's why you're seeing V Full Arts be like $30 and the Umbreon, which is like $60. That Umbreon could be like $100 by the end of next year. I could see that happening, maybe even $150 if we're a bit lucky. Now, that doesn't mean that the Umbreon VMAX is also going to 3x in price from $2,200 to $6,600. Like, okay, no, that doesn't mean that's going to happen. What it means is that this set is so loved, no matter what bank account people have, whether there's $1, $10, or $1,000, people still want in on the set. But then what happens is, because people want in on the set, then the cheaper cards generally go up. It's the same thing as tag teams. If you can't own the Lovebirds, what are you going to do? You're going to own the GX, or the Full Art, or the Rainbow. It's just how the cookie crumbles. So we've talked about the cards going up. We've talked about there's never going to be another Mimbrion. We've talked about why the cards going up matter so much. Now let's talk about the behaviors of it. Would you rather invest in gold/silver, whatever one, like it doesn't really matter, just one of the two, or would you rather invest in or a different mineral that is cheaper and is lesser known? And is not as preferred as gold, right? Like, let's just say on jewelry, like people don't use it as much. Well, no, you're going to want to invest in gold. You're going to want to invest in the best. Same goes for the S&P 500. Would you rather own Apple shares, or would you rather own, I don't know, I really do not want to name another company. Just think of another crappy phone company, like whatever. Like, and I'm not talking about Samsung for the record. I'm talking about like those more underground ones, those more unknown ones, right? Or would you rather own shares in one of the more unknown ones? No, you want to own shares in the best one. So same goes for Evolving Skies. Just because it's 2.4k a booster box doesn't mean it's not going to net as much as Prismatic or Destined Rivals or these other sets. Now, me personally, I don't really know if it will. That's why I don't just hold Evolving Skies. That's why I hold Black Bolt. That's why I hold Destined Rivals and all this other stuff. That's why I hold them, because I go ahead and go, you know what, I think Evolving Skies is really good. I also think these other sets are really good, so I'm going to hold a nice pool of them so that at least I'm somewhat protected either way, right? In theory. The thing about Evolving Skies is that don't be afraid by its box price. This is something a lot of people do. They say to me, like, Sam, would you invest in one Evolving Skies booster box, or would you invest in like 5 Destined Rivals? And this is my mentality. I'm like, all right, well, first of all, we need to ask, like, what time span are you planning on holding it for? Would it be like 1 year? Would it be 2 years? Or would it be like 5 years? Like, what are we planning, right? Because if you want to make the fastest gains, I would probably say buy Evolving Skies right now. But if you're planning to hold for like 5 years time, then after 2 years, Destined Rivals will start to tick up because it'll be out of rotation and all those goodies, right? However, I don't actually know if Destined Rivals will outperform Evolving Skies long term, right? Like Evolving Skies, it has the potential to be a 20k booster box. It has the potential to do that. Team Up. To this day, people still crack Team Up. And you want to know why people crack Team Up? This is the behavior side of it. This is where it gets really interesting. Why do people crack a $200, $300, $400 booster pack? Why do people do that? Why do people buy a build and battle that's $800 or $900 or $1,000? Why do people do that? Have they lost their minds? This is where it gets interesting. If you pull a GX and you get a PSA 10, you've made your money back on the pack. You've made your money back by pulling what should be a $1 card. But because the set is so iconic and so desired, That's where that happens. And the same thing with Vintage, right? Like Vintage, you've lost your marbles if you've opened up Vintage. Oh my goodness, you opened up a Skyridge pack. You're an idiot. Why would you do that? All right, well, it's a heavy pack, so it's got a holo inside. If they pull a holo and they get a PSA 10, they've made their money back on the pack. It's the same thing as these. If you open up an Evolving Skies booster pack, it costs you $50. If you pull a VMAX Umbreon, not a VMAX, but a VMAX Umbreon, and you get a PSA 10, it's about a $150 card. So then you look at Team Up. You open up a $300 pack, you pull Lovebirds, $500 card. You pull a full art Gengar and Mimikyu, it's a $1,000 card as a PSA 10. So it makes sense. It adds up. So no, these people have not lost their marbles. You don't need to pull the top chase. You just pull a minty copy of a $5 card or a $10 card and it makes it back. Once this happens where you can make your money back by pulling a $30 card, but then as a PSA 10 it's like $200. Once that happens, it's pretty much GG's well played for the set. That's where the ceiling disappears. That's where there's no ceiling. That's where there is no price prediction you can put, right? Like me saying $10,000 a booster box. Could happen next year. Could happen in the year after that. Realistically, I don't really know. But I don't think it's going to stop at $10,000. Just like how people are still opening up Team Up to this day. Now, Team Up hasn't really gone up past like $13,000, $14,000, $15,000. It has pulled it back a bit. So it hasn't really gone up more. However, people are still cracking it. If people are cracking it, it's just a matter of time. That's the thing about Pokemon, right? So like, let's just say a black and white booster box. If you've got like, what's the black and white booster box? Dark Explorers, something like that. Legend Explorers, I don't know. It's something like that. It's known as the worst set of all of Pokemon. However, the booster box price has still done really well. However, I can't say that that booster box will continue to go up. I realistically have no idea, but I don't know if it will. And the reason why I don't know if it will is because it will need a surge in demand versus what it currently has. It will need more demand for it to go up. The thing about Evolving Skies is that if you have people cracking packs, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So the fact that people are still cracking packs of Team Up, even that's $200 to $300 a booster pack, goes to show you Team Up is not going to be a 12k booster box for long. It will become a 15k. It will become a 20k booster box. Evolving Skies. If people are still cracking Evolving Skies booster packs for $50 a booster pack, $60, $70 a booster pack, I've seen people pay all the way upwards of $80 if it's a blister. Like, the fact that this blister, I was given this blister, it was worth like $30 when I was given it. This blister is probably worth like $80 now. So you've got to think to yourself, this blister, someone is willing to pay $80 to crack this. If it's on a rip and ship, I've seen people pay like $80 to $90 for a blister. But you've got to think to yourself, if Team Up has so much demand still, if people are still cracking it, Team Up is a 12k booster box. I think that shows us Evolving Skies is going to be a 12k booster box eventually because they have the same behaviors. You'll see how Evolving Skies is slowly becoming Team Up in that way where a VMAX that should be $1 is $10 or $12 or $15. And then as a PSA 10, it should be like $30, but it's $150. It's $200. And this has a lot of significance because this makes it more enticing to open up. So, if people are still cracking Team Up at $200 to $300 a booster pack, I can confidently tell you people will still be cracking Evolving Skies at $200 to $300 a booster pack. Now, what this means is every single time you see Team Up go up, that's almost like what Evolving Skies will be, okay? So, you look at Team Up, and it's almost like hitting the gym, right? Like when you hit the gym, you get a pump, which means your muscles go up. Which means your muscles go up. Oh my goodness, holy crap. My like investing mindset right now. I'm like in the zone right now. I'm knowing your muscles go up, yeah. Your muscles increase in size, right? Because you generally blood flows to it and yada yada, right? But basically, what a lot of motivational speakers say is they say, hey, when you go to the gym and you work out, that's your future self right there. When you look in the gym and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm looking amazing, that is your future self. That's what you'll look like in 2 to 3 months from now. That's what you'll look like if you just stay consistent, right? It's almost like the same thing with Evolving Skies as Team Up. The price you see Team Up at, Evolving Skies is going to be that price. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. They have the exact same behaviors. Evolving Skies is duplicating the behavior that Team Up has where even the cheapest chasers are like $50, even though it should be a $1 GX. That makes no sense. How is a supposed GX, which is the equivalent of an EX, how is it a $50 card? Well, It's because it has that much demand and people just love that set so much they'll own anything. They don't care if it's a rainbow card or if it's a full art or if it's a GX. They'll own anything they can get from it. That's a pretty big deal. Can't go unnoticed. Can't go unnoticed at all. It is something to really look at. We are not seeing the same behaviors with Silver Temples, with Lost Origin. We've seen a little bit with the Gengar VMAX from Fusion Strike, so there is a good sign there. Fusion Strike is duplicating the same behavior, but to be fair, it is not on the same level as Evolving Skies, and they are not breaking the highs that Evolving Skies is doing. Like, even though everything is going down, you're still seeing the Noivern V go from like $50 to like $100 in the last 30 days. And then you're seeing other cards like the Rainbow Rayquaza. Once again, name a single Rainbow card in the last 5 years that is doing well. Like, you can't think of any. You literally can't think of any. They're all doing horrible. So then you look at the Rayquaza and it's like, hold up. Why did that double in price? There is a deeper meaning to it. It's not just, oh, yeah, okay, card doubling price, whatever, in a bull market. It's like, no. Rainbow cards are rejected. Very few people like rainbow cards. They're not doing well. So why is this one doing well? And you go, oh, okay, hang on, whoa, hang on. But so are the V full arts. Okay, well, V full arts aren't doing that well in other sets. Okay, all right, so then why is it doing well in this? Oh, well, so are the VMAXs. The Umbreon is about 150 to 200 as a PSA 10. Oh, okay. Yeah, we should not ignore that. That's pretty interesting. Hang on, you mean to tell me people are still cracking Evolving Skies? There's never going to be another Evolving Skies. There's never going to be another Moonbreon. It has its foot in the door. There will never be another Moonbreon. There will never be another Evolving Skies. If you can't beat him, you join him. Seriously, get some Evolving Skies. I'm telling you, it's going to do numbers.